In other business news, Sony, you've heard of that company, right? They're
They make Walkman?
They make Walkmans. They are in a bit of a little financial trouble themselves.
So I've heard.
It's funny
The
that
Walkmen are not doing very well.
so publicly traded companies have to give guidance
Yeah.
on like how much money they're going to make and lose. And Sony's like, "Yo, look, we're going to lose so much money.
Yeah.
We're going to lose like a lot." And they let everybody know that.
Yeah.
And then they lost even more
Yeah.
than like the amount that they said they were going to lose.
Yeah. Yeah. So they in February provided guidance to investors saying that they were going to lose $1.07 billion. So $1,070,000,000, whatever.
Something.
Yep.
Exactly.
But in fact, they're going to lose an extra $200 million on top of that.
Oh, what's another $200 million on top of
So
$1 billion?
much. I don't even understand. Like, are they just getting like bank loans to stay afloat at all? Like, I don't. Like, I feel like I have a pretty decent understanding of like how the stock
Right.
market works and like macroeconomics. But what I don't understand is like when a company is losing billions of dollars, but there's some presumption that like, look, Sony's going to be able to turn it around.
Right.
I'm like, how are you paying your bills?
Right.
Like, I don't understand. Like, I can't not have money. Like, I got to pay my bills every month.
Well, like we've talked about this before, but like Sony's like broad network of products is really large. They do
Sure.
like health insurance, I think, in some countries or
What?
something. They do insurance in some countries. They obviously have the electronics business. They have the entertainment group where they do TV and movies. They have Sony Music. They have PlayStation, obviously, which, whenever someone sees like a Sony headline about it losing money on IGN, like the natural assumption is like, oh, PlayStation is failing. But
Right.
like PlayStation is probably one of the few successful groups.
But it's also the stuff's still cyclical, right? Like
Right.
launching a console is incredibly expensive.
Exactly.
So I don't know. I don't think they break out business units individually.
Right.
So I don't think we know whether PlayStation's making or losing money.
Right.
But it's 100% plausible that it could be losing money for, a year or more, because launching a console is so expensive. Then you make that back over time.
Yeah.
And so that could put a crunch on a company that's already crunched.
Yeah, I mean, Sony, at least on the PlayStation side, are recovering from like research and development, marketing, hardware production, and I mean, we've talked about this before as well. Like the cost of the PlayStation 4 suggests that the margins are fairly low in terms of like what they're actually earning per console sold. Even though they are leading the console like sales race, at least currently, the amount of money they're making is like presumably less than what Microsoft is making on the Xbox One, at least as far as we know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Again, like I view that upfront console cost as just being an investment on the part of the console maker.
Software,
Since I owned a PS4, I do own both now, but for a while I only had the PS4, and like my wife and I would rent a couple movies on it. Mm-hmm. And like that's $5 per movie rental. And when you extend that over 7 million PS4s sold, like I don't think they particularly care. Like every console maker except for Nintendo has traditionally sold their console at a loss.
Yeah. As far as like where this particular loss is coming from, this like this misstep in terms of initial guidance and where it's actually being adjusted to now that the fiscal year is ending, they're attributing it to Blu-ray of all things, and kind of the losses in that market.
I can believe that.
I believe that too.
When was the last Blu-ray you bought?
I bought the Fast and Furious box set.
I bought that. I think is there like a new one, or is this just like the
old
one?
The one for Fast Fest.
Oh,
A year ago.
yeah.
It's been.
That was your last one.
Was that a year ago?
No, I've probably bought one since then. That's just the one I thought of.
I think I haven't bought a Blu-ray in like maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
So they're attributing to that and just general losses in manufacturing, like unmoved inventory, that sort of thing. But also the sale of their PC business. If you recall, they sold off like
Vio.
the Vio line, which was kind of
That
sad.
cost
but,
the money?
Yeah, like they obviously all the kind of transition to the investment group that they're selling it to, kind of like, even though you would think that like that would involve selling off some things, like and that cash flow, no, they're like attributing it to like a bulk of that hit to that in Blu-ray. So
Hey, Justin, how do you feel about selling me that iPhone for a net loss to you?
I think I'm in favor of that. But it's like if that business unit was losing money,
Right.
if this iPhone was costing me $100 a month,
It does. Almost.
if this was
Exactly.
costing me $100 a month,
Which it does.
no, but like I'm not getting anything out of it, which Sony wasn't. If I had to spend $100 to keep this every month, and then you said, "Hey, pay me $500 and I'll take that from you,"
Right.
Yeah.
and it's like pays for itself in 5 months.
Yeah, so I mean, specifically, they're saying
That's how
that-
investing works, Mark. You learn something about money.
I'll learn one day.
I mean, so basically, what happened is they abandoned like their PC lineup for the spring. So like they had unused components that they had to sell back or reimburse suppliers for. They had all of that like kind of just piling on into the overall financial strife of the company.
Is that are they ever going to turn it around? Because it's like it was like on Tech Fetish, man, a year ago or more when they announced that they were selling their big tower, like their big office space for to
They
raise
sold
like
a
$1
bunch
billion.
of real estate. They sold the PC business,
And it's like real estate to me, and again, I don't know how corporate macroeconomics works,
right.
but I'm going to speculate anyway.
Thank you.
It just seems like selling real estate is a desperate move because it's short term. Like
Right.
now you have to lease that building forever. So it's like, okay, you raised $1 billion to not have to, go bankrupt. But now you are paying rent for the rest of time on this thing that you used to own.
Yeah, plus all of the actual like upkeep, like
Right.
when
So it's
you're-
like how many years? So they let's say they sold a building for $1 billion. How many years do they lease that building before they spend $1 billion leasing the building?
yeah.
30? Like,
Yeah, they sold a ton of real estate. They got rid of the PC business. They're like trimming down a lot of things. They're merging a lot of groups. Like it's a lot of like long term like health moves, but like the immediate effect is pretty bad.
They should cancel Minidisc. It would save some money.
it's also crazy when a company is so big that they can lay off like 5,000 people. And then
Right.
still, like, all their products still come out. And, like, I'm sure within Sony it was chaotic as hell.
Right.
Like, I'm sure it was awful and terrible. But, like, outwardly, like, there's still Sony, the PlayStation still comes out, the TV still comes out. So these 5,000 jobs are just gone. And, like, outwardly, there's not, like, a major change.
Yeah.
Sony Pictures still come out. Like, how big are you when, like, 5,000 jobs can just disappear?
Right.
Yeah.
That was a good hand snap.
And it's like,
Yeah,
what,
that's
like
good.
5% of the
Yeah.
workforce or something?
Yeah.
Well, and then on the movie side, they I think their biggest new release is the new Spider-Man movie, like which my understanding is the whole reboot of that franchise was purely to retain the rights because they were
they're
about to
making
lose
money.
them, but they're making money. But like they
Sony Pictures makes a lot of dough, I think.
yeah, I mean they've had some flops, but they've got that. The camera business is kind of stagnating. The smartphone market, despite some of the quality phones they've been putting out, like have not been moving.
This sounds like a stupid question.
I'm preparing myself.
Because it is a
They
stupid
often
question.
are, yeah.
I don't understand what computer manufacturer, PC manufacturer, is making money.
Apple.
Well, I mean, besides on the Windows side, because it's like
yeah.
Dell is in trouble. Sony doesn't want their business anymore. HP is doing okay, but not off the back of their computer business. Like it's off their other sort of business units.
Yeah.
Like
I would
Like-
imagine like the gaming market is probably the one PC market shrinking proof.
it just seems like a hard
subdivisions.
space to be in. Like
Yeah.
not a lot of money there anymore. And like things change so quickly. Like it's the same with TVs. Like it's really hard for companies like Samsung to like make money off televisions anymore. And that
Yeah.
was like such a boom business for years.
Yeah.
And it's over before you know it.
Yeah, I hope they can pull it out, man. Like it's I mean Sony like is
That's what she said.